Okay. So it is recording right now. And I'm gonna make my screen full. Just let me know if my screen is not like fully viewed. Okay, so welcome to World Water Day. It's today, March 22nd. Our SDG Hub presents to you World Water Day and the SDGs. And we're presenting as Executive Hub members. But before we do that, before we introduce ourselves and our topics, we'd like to do a land acknowledgement. So we are based in the Sault Ste. Marie campus, and we are on the Robinson-Huron Treaty Territory, and the land on which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe. We also have Brampton and Timmins campuses, so I will read those land acknowledgements as well in respect of the Indigenous people. We are on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Huron-Wendat, and Haudenosaunee and Ojibwe Chippewa peoples, and the land is home to the Métis and most recently the territory of the Mississaugas and the Credit First Nation. And for Timmins, we are on the Treaty of the Nine Territory, and the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Ojibwe, Oji-Cree, Cree, and Algonquin peoples. Okay. So we will introduce ourselves as the speakers for World Water Day and the SDGs as we represent the SDG Students Program through our hub at Algoma University. And we will talk about World Water Day in relation to the SDGs, in relation to Indigenous peoples, the water crisis, as well as tell water stories. And then we will introduce you to a fun Learn About World Water Day 1-minute challenge, which you can take part of. So my name is Asil, and I am the hub coordinator, and I'm the first and hub coordinator for Algoma University, which is a big deal because we finally have a collaboration so that we can work on the SDGs and educate people and students about it. So it's quite an honor to serve as a coordinator, and I'll pass the floor over to Sadia.
Hi everyone, I'm Sadia. I'm originally from Pakistan, but I'm here as an international student in Algoma University. I'm doing my bachelor's in psychology. Apart from study, I like to read, paint, and engage in any kind of art activity. And I hope you enjoy this session and learn something new from this. I will pass to Meshwa.
Thank you, Seal. So, hello everyone. My name is Mishwa, and I am the campaigns officer for the SDG Hub. And I'm in my second year of studying psychology. So, other than what I do in the SDG, I'm also very enthusiastic to be part of co-curricular, which is like sports or art or dance, anything such as. And I use this platform to convey the morals and the rights that is important. Thank you.
So what is World Water Day and why it is important? World Water Day is an important day that highlight the issues of water security and environmental justice throughout the world. World Water Day is celebrated on March 22nd every year, raising awareness about 2 billion people who are currently living without the access to clean and safe water. World Water Day is about inspiring actions toward SDG 6, which is water and sanitation for all by 2030. It was first recommended in 1992 at United Nations Conference of Environment and Development. And in 1993, first World Water Day was celebrated. The importance of water demonstrates its vulnerability due to its non-substitutable nature and its reach into all aspects of our lives, like drinking water, and, environmental integrity, sanitation, energy production, and even the transport.
So this time's World Water Day 2022's theme is the groundwater, making the invisible visible. So 1.7% of Earth's water is like groundwater, and about 30.1 or 1% of the fresh water is the groundwater. I think that groundwater is like a natural resource of enormous importance, but it is often overlooked or overshadowed or undervalued. So attention is needed to catalyze to use this resource to its optimum level for our economic and environmental growth, including potential contribution for groundwater to to combat the climate change and adaptation to achieve the sustainable development goals.
So this video will talk about water crisis in different parts of the world, especially in developing countries. It shows how much struggle those people have to go through just to get water. And even after that struggle, the water is not clean and safe to drink. This video will also show some solution to these problems. And you can see the video now.
Water. It's life's most basic need. But there's a water crisis in our world right now. Seriously, a crisis. Nearly 1 billion people live without clean drinking water. It's happening all over the world, especially in developing areas of sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. It's a water crisis because it starts with water. But water affects everything. Education, health, poverty, and especially women and children. Let's look at a family caught in the water crisis. It's likely they live on less than $1 a day. When they're thirsty, they can't just turn on the faucet for a nice cold glass of water. They don't have a faucet. Instead, the women and children go off to collect water. Many walk up to 3 hours a day to the nearest swamp, pond, or river to gather water that's been sitting out in the open, exposed to all kinds of germs. Time spent gathering water is time they can't spend learning to read, write, earn an income, or take care of their family. Some women in sub-Saharan Africa spend more time collecting water than any other activity they do in the day. And the walk isn't just hard, it's dangerous. The women are alone and burdened with 40 pounds of water. Many get hurt. Sometimes they're even attacked. When they make it home, the little water they've collected isn't clean. Some families know their water is contaminated with germs that cause diarrhea, dehydration, even death. But what choice do they have? Kids, especially babies, are affected most by these germs. About every 19 seconds, a mother loses one of her children to a water-related illness. And each day, almost 1 billion people are living this way. Until they get a little help. The water crisis is solvable. There are solutions. Some are brand new and innovative, like water filtration systems. Some are age-old, like drilled or hand-dug wells. These solutions bring clean water much closer to the people who need it. A safe water project near a village restores hours each day to a person's life. This time, it's opportunity. It's freedom to go to school and get an education, to work or start a business, to raise a family. Africa alone could save 40 billion hours each year. That's the entire annual workforce of France. Clean water means less disease. That's less money spent on medicine, which means more money for books and school uniforms. And if the water project is built near a school, it can increase attendance, especially among young girls. The water crisis is vast, but we can solve it. Just $20 can provide one person with access to a clean water project in their village. And this will mean more than clean water. Because water changes everything. Join us.
So as shown in the video, the water changes everything. It leads us to SDG 6, which is clean water and sanitation. It emphasizes ensuring availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. The goal isn't confined to clean drinking water and sanitation, but it also includes increasing and managing water resources in a sustainable way across the world. There are still 946 million people practicing open defecation and engaging unsafe fecal waste management, leading to a significant health and environmental issues. There is a significant amount of fresh water on the planet, making it easily accessible to all. However, poor infrastructure, planning, and improper investment creates water stress in many regions. We need to double the amount of work to make to manage sustainable management of water resources, as in 129 countries are still lacking the progress to achieve this goal by 2030. It is crucial to start water reuse, integrate water resource management, and protect, as well as restore water-related ecosystem and support countries to expand poor sanitation. The United Nations has agreed upon 8 targets and 11 indicators to clean water and sanitation.
Okay, so SDG 6, the water is connected to everything. You would have guessed from the video that water is part of every, like it can affect our education, it can affect our health. So SDGs are not, does not just work individually, it works in a collaborative manner. I will talk about the SDG 6 connection to all other SDGs, which affects each other, as well as if they are worked on together, they will increase the SDGs effectivity. So SDG 3 is good health and well-being. So good health and well-being is directly connected to water. If the water we use in consumption of our food and our drinking water, if it's not clean, it will give rise to diseases which not only affect the nutrition, but also can be part of, can contribute to the waterborne diseases. And SDG 5, the gender equality. So gender equality cannot be achieved if women still has to travel a long distance to collect water for their daily needs. From the videos, you can definitely get that the time that they invest in collecting water can be directed to their education, which can enhance their growth. So gender equality can be contradicted with better management of water, if it is provided them near their village or their school, or just from a groundwater project that can be opened in their village as well. SDG 9, for long no, for no, long non-sustain sorry for long non-sustainable industrial practices and lack of proper infrastructure for recycling the water waste. It has become one of the largest cause of polluting the water by releasing harmful chemicals in water, which cannot be dumped or recycled elsewhere. So if we upgrade our infrastructure and our industries in a way that can recycle, reuse, and clean the water to manage it in sustainable ways, it will indirectly help us achieve the goal for SDG 6. SDG 11, that is to make sustainable cities and communities. To have that goal, to reach that goal, it is mandatory to have a proper drainage system as well as water harvesting systems to decrease the lack of clean water available to communities. To develop the society, the foremost work is to provide the fundamental basic, like the need for each person with the need of like shelter, food, and water. By decreasing the scarcity of water, we will be increasing the health of the workforce that can contribute to the development of the city and the communities as well. Then there is SDG 12. The cycle of consumption and production is largely a collective effort of society to reduce, reuse, and recycle the extracted resources and to use it to the fullest extent possible. The concept of single-use plastic, which cannot be biodegradable but have an impact on many marine species. So the plastic which are like stays on ground or the ocean floors have a major impact on the species which live on water floor by destroying their natural habitat. So if we somehow find a way to recycle these things, like just a small example is like a plastic bag, we can reduce the impact of which it contributes to polluting water. For example, there are like 3 SDGs connected in this concept, like SDG 14, SDG 12, and SDG 6. The turtle, a sea turtle, they eat jellyfish, and they see the plastic bag which is floating in the water has like a jellyfish, and they try to eat it. So it is not only affecting the SDG 14, like the life below water, but it is also a part of SDG 12, like the recycling concept and the consumption, and SDG 6. So you see everything is like interconnected. SDG 13, which is the climate action, of course. So we all know how much this is connected to SDG 6. We all know the climate crisis, which is inevitable and we are going through, which affects the glaciers, which is like 69% of our freshwater reserves. So if we somehow try to decrease the global warming and the climate actions, it will definitely help us in improving the quality of water as well as the groundwater system that is being not taken very seriously. Um, and there is like say SDG 14, the life underwater. So the water bodies are directly affected by water pollution, the changes in temperature because of the global warming. It has started to affect the aquatic life. Some marine species of plant and animals has been subjected to water conditions which are dangerous for their lives, like the algae, or like the sea lions in Australia, which were subject to a high rise in temperature which they cannot survive, and the oil spills that are contributing to destroying the habitat of marine life. So if we and there is lastly the partnership, which is very important, the partnership between the SDGs as well as the partnership of communities with the people and the government. That's the only way we can all integrate these things and making the world a better place, as well as improve the water that we drink, we consume, and provide it to to the needful people.
So I think Mishwa covered a huge chunk of how the SDGs really interlink and really relate to SDG 6. It's important to note and to build off Mishwa's point, which was that about partnerships. We have to address what the government of Canada is doing at the provincial and national level. So Canada has the world's third largest per capita water reserve. It has a huge amount of fresh water, and much of that water is non-existent for the Indigenous people. A lot of them, as you can see in this picture here, they don't have clean drinking water, which is a basic human right, really. And you know, Canada is a first world country, and some people still live, such as Indigenous people, in third world conditions where they don't have access to clean drinking water. And Canada has failed its promise. Justin Trudeau, our prime minister, promised them in 2015 that he would fix this problem, and he still hasn't delivered on his promise. And yeah, so we just wanted to highlight what our government is doing with regards to the Indigenous water crisis, because you can't talk about water without really addressing the elephant in the room, which is how we're treating our Indigenous people.
So before we go on, let's just define what is actually happening in the background of Indigenous people water crisis, and how it is actually related to their life. So I want to define what the water advisory is. So it is an advisory or a directive issued by government or other health authorities to consumers when a community's drinking water is or could be contaminated by pathogens. So the water advisories were on public systems that were funded by Indigenous Service Canada, that were around 73%. There are still a considerable amount of number of water advisories issued on private drinking system, like the wells that serves the individual household, which accounts for about 1/3 of the whole resources, yet they do not receive any governmental funding. So about 60% of these advisories have lasted for more than a year, that are known as the long-term advisories, which some of the First Nation living under this advisories for decades now. For example, after 25 years of Canada's longest oh, sorry. Yeah, so for 25 years of Canada's longest boil water advisory, the residents of Nestantaga First Nations in Northern Ontario were still waiting for an upgrade and an expansion for their water treatment plant that can provide them with safe drinking water. Most of this water advisories were called the were called water advisories. However, some communities were under like do not consume advisories, which means that the boiled water which is unsafe to drink. For example, the community center or the youth center semi-public water system of Bearskin Lake First Nation has been under a do not consume order for over 15 years, and there were but as of now, from November 1st, 2021, there are no advisories which are under Do Not Consume Act, and that's a step being taken. The goal was to finish the water crisis of Indigenous people by 2015 agenda that Asil talked about, but still they have extended it, and right now they have invested about $1 billion in this project to address these issues. And we hope that this changes as soon as it could.
So in this video, Autumn, who is an activist in the Indigenous community, she's going to talk about her activism and advocacy for water. And she basically started as a kid, and she met the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, as you will learn in the video, and she will give us some insight on why it is such a big problem, this Indigenous water crisis.
Nebe gizageigo Nebe gizageigo.
We go out and pray for the water because the water is sick and it's contaminated, and we basically just do the water ceremony to pray for it for hopefully one day that that the water is clean. My name is Autumn Pelice. I'm the Chief Water Commissioner for Anishinaabe Nation. I'm 16 years old. I'm from Manitoulin Island, and I'm currently living in Ottawa.
I'm doing this work as we can't just pray anymore. We must do something, and we need to do it now.
Water is a basic human right. Everyone deserves access to clean drinking water, no matter what our race or color is, or how rich or poor we are. When I was 8 years old, I was attending a water ceremony in a First Nations community. I asked my mom to go to the washroom, and all over the walls said, "Don't drink the water, not for consumption, boil water advisory." And we had to use hand sanitizer after using the washroom. And I was very confused as to why it was like that. So I asked my mom, "What does all of this mean? Why can't we drink the water? Why can't we wash our hands?" And then she explained to me what all of it meant, what a boil water advisory was, and that the community that we were in has been on a boil water advisory for over 20 years. I visited a First Nations community, I think, last summer, and it's at Awapiskat First Nation. They're a northern community in Ontario, and I had a chance to speak with the youth there. And honestly, some of the things they had to say they were heartbreaking. They were really sad. One of the kids said to me that she feels bad that her grandparents, who are both over 70, have to walk every day 2 kilometers with buckets of water to get their water from a well that everyone in the community has to share. And honestly, that's terrible. Like, I went there, and you wouldn't even think that you're in Canada. They're living it, like I said, they're living in third world conditions, and we're in a first world country. It should not be like this. In 2016, I was at the Assembly of First Nations in Gatineau, Quebec, and I guess you could say I told off the Prime Minister when I was 12 years old. And that's honestly one of my like proudest moments that I constantly look back to, because I felt like I really made an impact when I spoke to him. I was told to not say anything to him, just to give him the gift. But there was something in me that, like, this is my opportunity to say something. So I took the opportunity and I said, I'm very unhappy with the choices you've made and broken promises to my people. And then he said, I understand that. And then I started crying. He said he will protect the water. And so with that, I'm gonna hold him accountable to that as long as he's prime minister, because that's a strong promise to make, especially to a person like me. I like to say that's when you know something is wrong, is when a child speaks up. And that's when you have to do something to fix it, because we shouldn't have to be speaking up.
So as Autumn mentioned in her video that you won't believe when you see those conditions that you are living in Canada. So Indigenous First Nation communities in Canada have been grappling with the issue of poor and dangerous water quality for decades, impacting 10 of the thousands of people. Despite government promises to improve water treatment plants, dozens of the native reservoirs across the Canada still lack clean drinking water. As an observer from the France 24 Observer who live in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory, sorry if I pronounced their name wrong, in Ontario, has turned to TikTok to raise awareness by posting videos of brown and dirty water coming out of the taps, which you will see in this video.
Did you have a drink of water today? Perhaps you cooked and needed water. Maybe you had a shower.
The brown water coming out of this sink is polluted and dangerous. This video was filmed on a native reservation in Canada, and it's just one of dozens that don't have access to clean water. And some Indigenous communities have been dealing with this problem for decades. The water can be contaminated with heavy metals, or E. coli and other bacteria, which can cause severe health problems, all due to poor infrastructure and lack of regulation. Our observer, Brennan McGuire, lives on Mohawk territory in Ontario and has been sharing videos of the water on TikTok.
Yum, yum, drink up.
When I moved into the property that I live on now, it was about a year and a half, 2 years ago. I just remember like going up to my roommate and being like, the water doesn't smell too good. Like it doesn't look great either. I remember like running a shower and just like black water just coming out of the shower head. They've been in a long-term boil advisory since 2008.
The Canadian government issues drinking water advisories to communities whose water isn't safe. Sometimes people have to boil their water before using it, and other times it's not safe to use at all. The current leadership has managed to fix nearly 130 of these advisories since 2015, but thousands of people living in 29 Indigenous communities are still adapting to life without safe drinking water.
To make sure that we can shower, to make sure that we can wash our dishes, to make sure we can do all those things that normal people can do, we have to put bleach in our filtration system.
We turn this off. Take this here, and we empty it into the sink. We're going to take the bleach.
So we are very privileged to have, affordable water that we can go and buy. We also have the privilege of multiple stations of like water drinking facilities that we can fill up jugs at. People are going thirsty without having any access to water. Like it's really scary. Like when you're in that situation, it's terrifying. What really has been affected is like the mental health of so many. Before colonization, like we were distributing our resources equally amongst all of our people. Colonization happened and all of a sudden like all of our freshwater resources and our forestry and all these things are being polluted and have been just destroyed.
Did you have a drink of?
So what are the actions we can take to prevent water wasting? There are a few. So first one is education. Education is the key to overcome any crisis along with the other mechanisms. We have to educate ourselves about the importance of water and how we can prevent water loss and how we can use the water more effectively. By educating those who are not dealing with the water shortage, they can be in the position to help. And those who are dealing with it can be educated how they can prevent the problem from becoming even worse in the future. The second is save water whenever possible. Using less water whenever possible, try to be conscious about your water usage. For example, instead of taking full bath, try short showers. Do not keep the tap open when you're not using the water. For example, when you're brushing your teeth and you don't need the water. And try to install low flow toilets. The third one is recycle the water. Try to learn the techniques you can use in your household to recycle the water you use. It does not only prevent water shortage, but it can save you money as well. One of the way that I recycle water is whenever I wash my vegetable, I store that water in any container and use that water to water my plants. Last but not least is using water filtration system. It's one thing to have access to the water as we see in the video, but it's another thing to have access to the water that is safe to drink. Effective water filtration system help ensure fresh water and can be put into the good use that is not making us sick.
So next we have a water story segment, and the talker for that is Mishwa.
Thank you for the floor, Asil. So I'm going to talk about my own personal account of my connection to water and my anecdote kind of. So I'm going to talk about a river which is called Ganga, one of the most important rivers in India in terms of religious belief as well as economic and usable resource that is much more important. So some facts about Ganga. So Ganga is the 35th longest river in world and also the third largest river in the world by discharge. So River Ganga flows through the country of India and Bangladesh, and it comes from it's like it comes from the glacier of a glacier called Gangotri from the Himalayas. So it comes from like glaciers. So it's a fresh drinking water, and it serves two countries, and it's a long river, so it is used by many people, regardless of their race, their kind, their rich or poor. So you will see why is it causing a lot of problem. So River Ganga, it's not just a river not just a river, but it is a symbolic goddess. So it is one of the most sacred pilgrim site for which is personified as goddess Ganga. So Hindu religious is kind of a religious which not only praise uh, like the god, but also they pray the resources around them, like the animals. They also pray the rivers. They personify everything and then pray it. So that's how they see Ganga. So some of the religious beliefs that is connected with this with the river Ganga is ritual bathing. So ritual bathing is essentially taking a bath in that in the river, and it is believed that it will cleanse the souls from all the past sins and helping attending salvation. Then the second practice is like it days the ashes from the are cremated, are often spread across the waters, and it is believed that it will depart the soul to moksha. Moksha is like ending a cycle of reincarnation, so people don't have to suffer from one birth to the another. So but I will again touch base on why these practices are causing problems. So the third is doing a puja. So puja is basically a ritual of worshipping the river, like you can see in that photos that they take the lighted lamps and flow them in the river, or just circle them around and say some rituals to thank the goddess to bring them resources and life. So this lighted lamps are flown through the water that leaves behind the wax and the oil in the water. So other than the sacred rituals that are done on the river. It is also used for daily activities by the people that are connected to river, like the bathing, washing their clothes, washing their vessels, cleaning the livestock, fishing, and also sometimes using it for cooking as well. So the ritual bathing, all these practices that are done from years have caused in making this river one of the most polluted rivers of the world for a long duration of time. So so the ritual bathing, there is no restraint or where people can go and take a bath. So many people come around, they take a bath each year. Then there is a festival called Kumbh Mela. It is one of the most uh, crowded festivals which happens every 5 years near Ganga. Like you can see in these photos, this is where the celebration happens. And without any restraints, without any sanitization, without any cleaning act, they all take a bath in that. Now the ashes that are spread through the river, it accounts for polluting the water and the aquatic life inside it. There are also instances where they just half burn the dead, and they just flow them in the water. So it will rot in water. The fish and the water life among the people will be affected, and also the people who consume it for drinking purposes and their daily needs, they also would not be getting a clean water. The lighting lamps that I talked about that are flown into the river will leave wax, which will there are so many that goes on every day, which is now accounted for destroying the aquatic life and decreasing the oxygen levels in the river, which has um, um, now upgraded a bit after so much work. I will talk about the work that went through in cleaning the water, cleaning this river as well. So um, to clean this river, there was a project launch called as Clean Ganga Project, an initiative by Union Government of India, and was implemented by National Mission for Clean Ganga. It was inaugurated in June 2014 with a budget of over like 2.7 billion US dollars to achieve two objectives. First, the conservation of water and the rejuvenation of Ganga. So for me as well, this place means a lot of things, because we also carry something called as holy water, which is like a small part of the water from the Ganga, and we keep that as a symbol of a river that provides us with so much nutrition, so much water for our irrigations, because India is a country of farmers and we completely depend on water. And that's the reason this uh, river has been affected so much, because there is not a stable combination of the belief that people hold and the scientific reasons that should go behind in every ritual that they perform. So with synchronization of both of the things, with their beliefs and also with the objective in mind of taking healthy actions to not destroy something that you love so much and respect so much. So yeah, so that's I hope that it's now been a bit better than the past 5 years. The government has been working on it, and there is a constant promotion um, and openness about talking about how this religious practices are affecting the water. So the situation is much better now, but it still needs a lot of work to be done to get the Ganga that was first known as the goddess. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mishra, for this beautiful story, and it was very educational. I didn't know this existed because I'm not from India and I'm not from that religion, so it was really eye-opening. So thank you so much for sharing.
Okay, so this is the the World Water Day 1 minute challenge. So this video introduces to this year's World Water Day challenge. The challenge is 1 minute to film challenge, where you can shoot a video about groundwater to make the invisible visible and tell us in 1 minute or less how does groundwater affects you.
On the 22nd of March, we will celebrate World Water Day. And this year's theme is groundwater, making the invisible visible. And you can help making the invisible visible too. Grab your phone or camera and show how groundwater affects your daily life. Is there enough? Is it safe to use? Who uses the most groundwater in your area? And what needs to be done to exploit and protect groundwater? The 5 most compelling stories will at the end of the year be shown to over 300 policymakers at the UN Water Summit on Groundwater. You can have your voice heard and make a difference. So, how can you join? Shoot the video on landscape orientation. Go into the field and show your groundwater story. Use a mic for good quality audio. Keep your video respectful and keep your video to 60 seconds or less, unlike me. And follow these 3 steps. Upload your video to YouTube or Vimeo, then share it on social media using these hashtags and send the video link to this email address. Good luck, together we can make the invisible visible.
So we're near the end of our presentation, and we would like to conclude by letting you know that there are other World Water Day events happening. There's an event happening today, 7 to 8:30 p.m. And there's the Water Arts Initiative, which you can check out. And there is a shore cleanup on July 16th. So definitely a few things to look forward to. And for more information, check the Freshwater Wise website. And yeah, this concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for attending, and we hope this was informative. Any questions?